There is a temple in Cambodia that hides something no one has ever truly told you. Not because the evidence is missing, it is right there, carved into stone for nearly 1,000 years, visible to anyone willing to look, but because there are those who have every interest in keeping you in the dark. Stay until the end, because what you are about to discover is one of those things you simply cannot get out of your head. It is called Bayon. 54 towers connected to one another, 216 stone faces staring at you from every possible angle, wearing a smile that is neither serene nor enlightened. It is something far more unsettling. A smile that knows. A smile that has been waiting for centuries for someone to stop repeating what they were taught and finally start looking at what is actually in front of them. They sold it to us as a Buddhist temple. Every history book, every travel guide, every documentary you have ever watched has stated this with the same confidence used to tell you that the earth revolves around the sun. The Bayon, a Buddhist temple, built by King Jayavarman VII at the end of the 12th century to glorify the Buddha. Done. Filed away. Move on. But where does this certainty actually come from? Who established it? When the French occupied Cambodia in the 1800s, they found themselves before this immense temple in a country where Buddhism was already the dominant religion and drew the most convenient conclusion available. Buddhist is the country. Buddhist is the temple. No thorough analysis. No serious comparison with ancient texts. A classification built on context, not evidence. And that classification, wrong from the very first day, became official truth over time. Generation after generation of students, researchers, and tourists absorbed it as an unquestionable fact. But the stones of Bayon never changed their version of events. They stayed there, with their story carved into them, waiting for someone to ask the right question. Even before you step inside, walking along the road that leads you there, you are already standing before the first anomaly. On your right, you will find divine figures called Deva. On your left, demonic figures called Asura. Between their hands, they grip an enormous serpent, as though they were steering the fate of humanity with a set of reins. And this is where the first problem appears. Just a minor historical inconsistency, a tiny one, capable of bringing down the ancient history of half the world. Because these figures, this serpent, this cosmic clash between gods and demons, do not belong to Buddhism. You will not find them in any Buddhist text. You find them in the ancient Hindu scriptures, where Deva and Asura grip together the serpent, Vasuki, to churn the primordial ocean in search of the nectar of immortality. A scene of cosmic balance between light and darkness, between order and chaos. Nothing like it exists in any Buddhist text. Nothing. Someone placed these figures there deliberately, knowing exactly what they meant, knowing exactly which tradition they belong to. So why does a temple that every history book in the world presents as Buddhist display unmistakably Hindu iconography right at its entrance? When you walk inside and the 216 faces begin watching you from every direction, something shifts. You cannot stop staring at them, and the longer you look, the more a question forms. One no textbook has ever invited you to ask. These faces have 4 sides, each one facing a different cardinal point. The Buddha has never been depicted with 4 faces in any existing temple in the world, never. In no Buddhist tradition, in no text, in no known iconography, does the Buddha have 4 heads gazing simultaneously in 4 directions. The figure who is described in exactly this way with surgical precision in the ancient Hindu scriptures, is Brahma, the creator god of Hinduism, the one with 4 heads, 4 faces, 4 arms, 4 voices speaking simultaneously toward the 4 corners of the cosmos, and they sold it to us as the Buddha. Look also at the ornaments these faces carry: conspicuous earrings, necklaces, elaborate headdresses. All of this ran directly against the teachings of the Buddha, who believed in simplicity and was never depicted wearing extravagant jewelry. But even more telling is the diadem they wear upon their heads. There are ancient Hindu texts that reference a Sanskrit treatise on sacred architecture, connected to the positioning of energetic points within the human body, and it leaves absolutely no room for doubt. This is Hindu material. And then there is the third eye. Several faces bear a third eye at the center of the forehead, through which Hindus believe it is possible to perceive everything that cannot be seen with the physical eyes. The god Brahma, according to ancient texts, also possessed this third gaze, capable of seeing beyond time, beyond matter. This is not a series of isolated coincidences. It is a system, precise, coherent, built with an awareness that is almost frightening to consider, because every single element of this temple tells the same story, a story that someone decided you were never supposed to hear. There is something that almost no one tells you about Bayon, something that a Japanese research group, the Japanese team for the safeguarding of Angkor, documented across multiple scientific publications. These researchers describe the Bayon as the most striking expression of an architectural style in sharp contrast with the classical style of the region. The way the towers were conceived, the way the faces grow larger as you climb toward the summit. All of this follows a logic that does not belong to Cambodian Buddhist architecture. It belongs to something older, and the number 54, the 54 towers of Bayon, is not coincidental. In the Hindu tradition, it corresponds to half of 108, one of the most sacred numbers in existence, present in rosaries, mantras, and astronomical cycles. In sacred Hindu architecture, it represents the points of intersection between the masculine and feminine cosmos, between creative energy and matter. Whoever built Bayon knew this with a precision that presupposes a total command of the deepest, most esoteric layers of the Vedic tradition. How does this knowledge reach Cambodia? And why does no one teach this in schools? Brahma is one of the most mysterious figures in the entire Hindu pantheon. And yet, across all of India, temples dedicated exclusively to him can be counted on the fingers of one hand. Just one is universally recognized. It stands in Pushkar, in Rajasthan. The ancient texts explain this through a curse. The other gods decreed that Brahma should not be worshipped on earth. But that same tradition also tells that his presence manifested elsewhere, in distant places, in locations where the curse could not reach. And perhaps, one of those places is exactly this. We are not talking merely about a misclassification. We're talking about the possibility that the greatest temple dedicated to Brahma in the entire world is not in India. It may be in Cambodia, in a country thousands of kilometers away, where no one should have possessed that knowledge. Who were these people? Where did they truly come from? And above all, why does official history have no credible answer to any of these questions? And if that were not enough, there is one detail that obliterates any remaining doubt. The name. The name Bayon was assigned by the French in 1880. But the original name of the temple was Jaya, an epithet of the god Brahma. another way of calling Brahma. The temple literally carried the name of the god to whom it was dedicated, and they sold it to us as a Buddhist monument. Hidden inside the very name Bayon is Brahma himself, concealed in plain sight for centuries, inside a name that everyone pronounces without ever knowing what they are truly saying. Inside the temple, archaeologists found altars dedicated to Shiva, asking themselves why none existed for Brahma. The answer is straightforward: because the entire temple is dedicated to him. There is no need for a dedicated altar inside something that is already, in its totality, an act of devotion toward the Creator God. Over the centuries, Buddhist monks occupied the Bayon, damaging the Hindu elements incompatible with their tradition. But the enormous faces, the towers, the macrocosm of the temple, that was simply too vast to destroy. And it has remained there, intact, telling a story that someone would have very much preferred to bury forever. Yet someone, consciously and deliberately, keeps calling them the faces of the Buddha. Not out of ignorance. The evidence is far too overwhelming. What would happen if the truth actually came to light? How many other certainties of official history would come crashing down alongside it? Why do no documentaries exist on any of this? The major international networks, the History Channel, National Geographic, and many others, never obtained permission from Cambodian authorities to share this information, because Buddhism has been the state religion of Cambodia since 1989. The Bayon is the most recognizable symbol in the country, a national icon, a cultural monument. To officially declare that this temple is not Buddhist but Hindu is not a simple historical correction. It is a political, religious, and cultural detonation. And no state in the world would set it off willingly. So silence becomes a conscious choice, protected by those who hold the power to shield their official truths. But silence does not erase stone. The stones of Bayon speak of populations who lived thousands of kilometers from India, and yet possessed a knowledge of the ancient Vedic texts so refined that it leaves you speechless. As though, in an ancient era that official history refuses to name, someone moved through the world with the precise purpose of transmitting something, a body of knowledge, a system, a truth that had to survive everything that came after it. The Bayon is there. The 216 faces of Brahma are there. The original name, Jaya, is there. The statues of Deva and Asura are there. Everything is there, visible, verifiable, carved into stone for nearly 1,000 years. You do not need to believe any particular theory to recognize that something here does not add up. You only need to stop looking where someone told you to look. If you know more or have theories, let us know in the comments. We read them all. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries like this one.